I want to start today by talking about President Joe Biden's upcoming Supreme Court pick. As many of you have no doubt heard by now, the oldest liberal justice on the court, Stephen Breyer, is going to be retiring, and Joe Biden is going to get to pick or nominate, rather, a replacement, which is subject to confirmation by the Senate. Now, Joe Biden made a promise during the campaign that he would select a black woman, which would be, if confirmed, the first black woman ever on the United States Supreme Court. He confirmed that that's still the plan. Jen Psaki, his White House press secretary, confirmed it. And I believe Joe Biden has also been asked about it and confirmed that as well. The American right is now starting a campaign to make the case that this is extremely discriminatory and essentially racist to anyone who is not a black woman. In other words, the way that many are framing it, and we're going to look at Laura Ingraham in a moment who's doing this, is if you are excluding anyone who is not a black woman, it is by definition discriminatory and or racist against those individuals. This is wacky. And as someone who is not a wokester and not into corrosive identity politics, I'm going to explain to you why these people are wrong. But let's first listen to Laura Ingraham.
Like everything else Joe Biden touches, his Supreme Court selection process is in shambles. Candidate Biden, he thought he was being really woke and so cool by pledging to nominate an African-American woman to the high court. But of course, he was also effectively discriminating against a vast majority of the adult population.
Uh-oh.
And now even liberal websites like Slate thinks he has himself in a bind, claiming that Biden's pledges backfired and needlessly tokenized future nominees.
So let me remind you, I am not an identity politics guy. I have spoken out for a decade about uses of identity to silence or to exclude. You all, if you've been watching this show, listening to my podcast for a while, you know that. Let's go through this now in that context in steps. First of all, is what Joe Biden is doing unique? And the answer is no, it is not. Here is Donald Trump saying, I'm choosing between women only for this next seat. And the crowd cheered.
I will be putting forth a nominee next week. It will be a woman.
Right. It wasn't only Donald Trump who did this. Ronald Reagan did the exact same thing.
Polls continuing to show he runs better among men than women. Reagan took a dramatic step today to reach out for female support.
Now, I'm announcing today that one of the first Supreme Court vacancies in my administration will be filled by the most qualified woman I can possibly find.
Oh, whoa, hold on a second. Now, you can say, well, they were all wrong to do that, David. Okay, fine. You could take that position. But were you actually saying it at the time, or are you saying it now that they already put women on the courts and you no longer really have to say anything about it? It's very easy now to say, well, they were all wrong. None of them should have done it. But that's not really the most important thing to think about. I'm putting for context that this is not unique. So a lot of the criticism of Biden is hypocritical. But the most important thing is the context that matters here. The Supreme Court was established in 1789. From 1789 until 1967, that's 178 years, every single justice was white and male. Okay? 178 years. And during that time, we had slavery in the United States for roughly 80 years of that 178 years. We had slavery of black people and an all-white male court. So it's okay and it's notable when we say, hey, we now have a black person on the court, which came in 1967 with Thurgood Marshall. It's not racist. It's not discriminatory. It's look at the makeup of the country and look at the makeup of the court. And at this point, with so many qualified black jurists, how have we not had one? It's okay to point that out. You're not participating in toxic and corrosive identity politics. Let's give another example. From 1789 until 1981, we had all men on the court. That's 192 years. Every single justice was a man. So it's okay and notable to say, hey, given the history of qualified women, lawyers, judges, here's finally the first woman on the court. when Sandra Day O'Connor was nominated to the court. There has never been an Asian person on the Supreme Court, Native American, Pacific Islander, Black woman, Indian American, etc. We don't need a court that exactly matches the makeup of the U.S. in every sort of demographic characteristic, nor is it even possible with only 9 people on the court. But at a certain point, when you say, wow, we have 330 million people in the country now, the Supreme Court's been around more than 200 years, it starts to get weird that we have not had certain people on the court. Now, they start to play its identity over qualifications. They say, we're ignoring who are the most qualified people because we're focused on identity instead of qualifications. And again, that's a terrible argument. Once again, we're a country of 331 million people. If I were to say, or if Joe Biden were to say, I am going to pick the first current or former sports team owner who is a woman, we would say, wow, that's like a really small group. There's not a lot of female major sports team owners. It's like, Renee Montgomery and Michelle Williams from Destiny's Child is a part owner of a team, and Jeannie Buss owns parts of multiple NBA teams. We might be saying that's really weird. That identity designation is not appearing to be a pool of qualified people. Joe Biden is picking one Black woman, and there are many qualified Black women. There is no reason to believe that by saying, I'm going to pick a Black woman, and it's going to be notable given the history of the country and the history of the court, there's no reason to believe that it's going to be a less qualified individual. You're picking from among the many qualified Black women. It is such a non-story. And that's me as a non-woke, non-identity politics person telling you this, but they're going to keep playing it up and they're going to make it into something that it is not. If you disagree with me, I would love to hear from you, respectfully, of course. Science has shown us that lowering your body temperature at night helps you sleep. I can't sleep in a hot room. That's why I love our sponsor, Chili Sleep, which makes customizable, climate-controlled sleep solutions to sleep better. Their flagship products are the Uller sleep system and the Cube sleep system, which is what I have. Both are hydro-powered, temperature-controlled luxury mattress pads. You can make them as cold as 55 degrees Fahrenheit. If you wanted, you could go as hot as 115 degrees. I like the cooler option. I keep mine at 60 degrees, and it gives me a great cool night of sleep. No feeling hot, no more sweating. I'm falling asleep faster, and it pairs perfectly with Chili Sleep's weighted Chili Blanket, which keeps you cold on top, too. And for a limited time, Chili Sleep has a special offer just for my audience. Go to chilisleep.com/Pacman to learn about the exclusive discount. The link is down below.